For nearly a century, the royal Christmas message has been one of the most carefully choreographed moments in the British calendar. Since George V first spoke to the nation in 1932, these broadcasts have never been casual. They are symbolic reflections of continuity, stability, and control. Every word, every pause, and every object placed in frame is deliberate. That context matters deeply when examining what unfolded in the Queen's 2019 Christmas message and why it quietly marked a turning point for Prince Harry and Meghan. In previous years, Queen Elizabeth II often used family photographs to reinforce unity. The images were not decoration. They were messages. In 2018, a wedding photo of Harry and Meghan sat proudly on her desk, signalling acceptance and continuity. The following year, that photograph disappeared. In its place were images that centered the direct line of succession. This single omission sparked intense commentary because within royal tradition, absence speaks louder than words. What is rarely discussed is how isolating this moment must have felt for Harry and Meghan. At the time, they were new parents, navigating unprecedented media hostility while attempting to modernize a deeply traditional institution. Meghan, in particular, had been clear about wanting a monarchy that reflected compassion, inclusion, and relevance. Instead of support, the couple faced silence, subtle rebukes, and escalating pressure. The narrative pushed by some commentators was that the Sussexes were being reprimanded, but another interpretation deserves attention. Harry and Meghan were already emotionally and physically distant from royal life by that point. They were in Canada seeking peace, privacy, and stability for their young family. The absence of their photograph may not have been a shock as much as confirmation that their instincts were right. Royal author Tina Brown later claimed Prince William feared Harry would react strongly to the omission. But this framing centres reaction rather than cause. Harry had already spent years watching his wife subjected to relentless attacks. The couple had repeatedly asked for protection reform and understanding. Those requests were not meaningfully addressed. By Christmas 2019, trust had already eroded. Their decision to skip Sandringham that year was not rebellion. It was self-preservation. Spending Christmas with Doria Ragland in Vancouver offered warmth, emotional safety, and a sense of normalcy. For Meghan especially, this mattered. She had entered the royal family without a traditional support network and endured scrutiny no modern royal bride had faced before. During this time, the Sussexes were not plotting revenge or chaos, as some outlets suggested. They were planning survival. Reports that they refined future plans during their stay in Canada are often framed negatively. Yet planning a sustainable independent life while raising a child is not betrayal. It is responsibility. At the Vancouver Island home where they stayed, Harry and Meghan envisioned a future that balanced service with autonomy. Meghan drew on her experience running the TIG, a platform focused on wellness, women, and social impact. Harry leaned into his lifelong commitment to veterans' mental health and conservation. Together, they imagined a model that freed them from institutional constraints while preserving purpose. Critics seized on trademark applications and digital planning as proof of secrecy. But in reality, any responsible transition requires structure. The Sussex Royal Foundation concept was about clarity, not greed. Their intention was to fund charitable work, independently reducing reliance on public funds while maintaining service-oriented values. Meanwhile, the royal family faced its own deep crisis. The Andrew scandal dominated headlines globally. The contrast in treatment between Andrew and the Sussexes did not go unnoticed. While Harry and Meghan were scrutinised for stepping back, Andrew was quietly removed from public duties without the same moral outrage directed toward him. By Christmas morning 2019, the monarchy was under strain. The Queen's decision to streamline the image on her desk reflected an institution closing ranks. Yet notably, Harry and Meghan were not named, criticised or condemned in her speech. Silence again became the message. Tina Brown's comparison of the photo removal to authoritarian erasure may have been dramatic, but it reveals something important. Harry and Meghan were no longer being treated as future-facing assets, but as inconveniences. That realization clarified their path forward. When the Sussexes announced their decision on January 7, 2020, their language was respectful, calm, and loyal. They affirmed support for the Queen and emphasized reflection, discussion, and love for their country. This was not a rash exit. It was a considered evolution. Their statement outlined goals many modern families would recognize: financial independence, balanced geography, and meaningful work. They did not reject service. They redefined it. The phrase "progressive new role" was intentional. It acknowledged that monarchy must adapt or risk irrelevance. The media frenzy that followed often ignored how unprecedented this honesty was. No royal couple had ever spoken so directly to the public about institutional constraints. Harry and Meghan were transparent about their intentions, even as speculation spiraled. The Sandringham summit that followed was historic. It underscored that the monarchy had not anticipated this level of agency from a younger generation. Harry was no longer the spare willing to absorb pressure silently. He was a father protecting his family. The Queen's subsequent statement was measured and supportive. She acknowledged love and understanding even while drawing firm boundaries. The refusal of a half-in, half-out role reflected institutional rigidity, not Sussex entitlement. The system could not accommodate flexibility without precedent. Losing the ability to use HRH titles and formal representation was framed as punishment by critics. In reality, it gave Harry and Meghan freedom. Without ceremonial constraints, they could speak advocate and act with authenticity. Importantly, they retained private patronages and continued charitable work. This demonstrated consistency of values. They did not abandon causes or communities. They simply removed the filter of royal protocol. The Queen's 2019 Christmas message is often cited as a moment of exclusion. But viewed differently, it was also a moment of clarity. Harry and Meghan saw unmistakably that their future would not be shaped within palace walls. History now shows that decision empowered them. Through Archewell global advocacy, media partnerships, and philanthropy, they have amplified issues the monarchy long avoided, including mental health, racial equity, and media accountability. The couple's choice to leave was not about ego. It was about environment. Meghan had warned of the dangers of unchallenged narratives, and Harry had lived through the consequences of silence with his mother Diana. When royal watchers revisit the missing photograph, they often miss the human story. A young family choosing peace over pageantry. Parents prioritizing safety over symbolism. Partners standing united despite pressure. The monarchy values tradition. Harry and Meghan value impact. Those values clashed, but neither is invalid. What matters is that the Sussexes chose integrity over compliance. Their departure forced uncomfortable conversations about race, media ethics, and institutional responsibility. That alone reshaped the monarchy more than quiet obedience ever could. So when we look back at that Christmas broadcast, we should not see banishment. We should see a crossroads. One path preserved appearances, the other pursued purpose. Harry and Meghan chose the harder path, and in doing so redefined what service can look like in the modern world.